Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is a vlog of my late autism and ADHD diagnosis. It's been a week in this household. My kids had state testing on Tuesday and Wednesday, and that was like all hands on deck, family affair. It was so stressful. Both my teenagers, they're twins. They also are autistic ADHD. They got diagnosed about a month before I did. They homeschooled all the way till 8th grade. They are in an online public high school. They have IEPs in America, that's independent educational plans. And before state testing, we had IEP meetings, to set up special accommodations for testing. A lot of things that we specifically requested, they said were not going to be possible. We were able to get them a private room, which was very helpful. But overall, the entire experience was frustrating, disappointing, not for my kids, but like the state of education. My kitty cat's tail right there, she just walked in front of me. And the fact that like state testing is required is just ridiculous, because my kids are extremely bright kids, but they don't test well. And it's that whole, I don't know who said the quote, but if you test a fish on how well they climb a tree, they're going to fail. And I tried to explain that to my kid's counselor before the test, and he just didn't get it. He's like, they're AB students, they'll be fine. And I'm like, yeah. It's because behind the scenes, they put a lot of work in, and it takes them a lot of work to get that AB, and they crumble on their tests, and all of their homework grades and everything like that bring up their test grades. And they will probably end up, with the C's in a lot of their classes, because the finals bring their grades down. And that's how it was for me in school too. I would maintain an A/B average, so that way when I ultimately bombed my finals, because I also did not test well, then I was still able to pass classes. That wasn't every class. I did have some classes where I had A's and B's, but I also did a lot of extra credit, and I put a lot of work in. But my kids they don't test well, and a lot of kids don't test well. Standardized tests do not accurately depict how well somebody knows the information. If they were to sit down one-on-one with a test proctor and have a verbal test, and just with open-ended questions about different things, oh my gosh, they could talk your ear off on all the things that they've learned. But sitting down to answer, multiple choice questions, they overthink the test questions, they overthink the answers. A lot of these were not the math section, they weren't multiple choice, and they will often have mathematical errors, which will lead to an incorrect answer. And this test it wasn't like they can look at the work and test to see where they made the mistake. Like in a classroom, sometimes the teacher will look at all the work and be like, okay, they understood it, they just made a mathematical error, and give them points. But for a standardized test, it's just that final answer. So I've got to find out. I don't know if they passed the test. They both had panic attacks during the test. And that's the thing, if we were testing them on the things that we were working on in occupational therapy, which is how to handle anxiety, what to do if you have a panic attack, how to regulate your nervous system, they did all those things. They passed with flying colors on those things. They're if we could test them for the skills that they are struggling with, they did those, and they got, in my opinion, I'm the only one grading it, 100%. But unfortunately, they are being graded on how long the hypotenuse of a triangle is. And while they can answer that in a non-testing situation, when you add the test environment, then, it's a different question, different thing. So the thing that is frustrating is just the communication with the counselor. And I'm like, they're not going to test well. They will have a panic attack. And I think that he and some other people were frustrated that I was setting them up, like saying, oh, they will. What if they don't? And like, I know my kids, they're going to have a panic attack. Like, if they don't, that's awesome. But I know my kids, they're going to have a panic attack. Like, and we did, like I said, months of occupational therapy to talk about what to do when they have this panic attack. And they had the panic attack and they worked through it and it was amazing. But I was like telling the counselor, I'm like, they're not going to be able to do well in this test. And there are different paths to graduation. And so I'm like, okay, I'd like to opt out the test and do one of the other paths to graduation. And he's like, you really need to do the test. If they fail the test, we'll talk about the other pathways. And later I found out that, no, I really could have just opted out of the test. But because I'm autistic, I kind of interpreted his words incorrectly. And I don't want to go into too much of it. That's another thing that I learned. Like, there's so many things about, like, that autistic people get in trouble with in work environments and stuff like that. There's all these rules in our society. And some of them are laws. Some of them are, like, rules. Like, there's lots of rules around state testing, right? Like, what can be allowed in the room and the state accommodations and stuff like that. And, but then, like, there's some rules that you can kind of, like, fudge a little bit. But then, like, there's some rules that you can't. And like, it's just so hard to read the subtext and understand. And the way that he was talking, like, I thought he was saying if we opted out, then we wouldn't get invited back to the school next year because we have a border exception to go into the school. We have to, like, request to be in this online school. And he didn't say it directly, but that's what it implied to me. But again, I'm not really good at subtext, so I wasn't even sure. And I tried to verify this, but since he never actually said it, you know, there's nothing to really point to. And it's just very frustrating. But we got it through it. It was a good learning experience for the kids. Like, I don't think they should have had to go through the testing. I think that's a failure on our system as a whole. But there are going to be times in their life where they are going to be in positions that cause them anxiety and panic attacks, and to use these skills that they learned in occupational therapy, like how to regulate their nervous system, then, you know, I hate to set up this, like, artificial circumstance of let's create a panic attack so that you can work through it. But on the other hand, it is good because you never know. Like, they could be shopping in a store and an employee or another shopper maybe faints, and there's, like, a stressful super situation and they're the only person around, and it's like, how are they going to handle that anxiety stressful situation, right? Like, there's things in your life that will just pop up that you can't avoid. And so to have the tools and know that you've gone through it before and you've worked through stressful situations before, it's good, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, but here's some things that, and my last video was talking all about their occupational therapy. Not about the state testing per se, but just different things that they've learned in occupational therapy. But some of the things, hold on. Sorry, my brain just went on a big tangent because sometime earlier this week, I created a YouTube post saying, hey, how many of y'all don't like kid content? And many of y'all said that you skip videos that talk about any kind of kid content because a lot of you don't have children, and that's fair enough. And I was trying to explain in that post that even when my videos are talking about my kids, I think a lot of the content is still related to the adult, because even though, like, sometimes I talk about my kids, it's still my vlog, it's my life experience, And even if you don't have kids, you might still have situations that, you know, can sort of relate to the different stresses that I'm going through with a coworker, with a neighbor's kid, you know, just generalizing the topics and kind of making them work for your individual life. But all of a sudden, when my brain clicked into the fact that even though I'm talking about like my frustrations with the state testing as an adult, I'm like, oh, I'm talking about my kids again. But this is my vlog and my outlet, so I'm just gonna like go with it. But I had to stop myself. I did appreciate the people who commented and was like, don't start making videos for the algorithm. And believe me, I'm not. I started throwing up videos just because I needed a place to process my diagnosis. And I really appreciate the support and the comments and the community that has happened around that. And I'm not gonna change. Like this is a vlog and I talk about the things that come up in my life, and I do talk about disability advocacy too, just because that's one of my passions. But what I was gonna say is like one of the things that my kids and I did to prepare for the state test was that we knew the test was on Tuesday and Wednesday, so we blocked most of Thursday and Friday off for nothing, like no activities or anything, to the best we could. And so, and again, that applies to if you're an adult, like if you have a big, huge, stressful event, or maybe like you've got to travel for work, then if there is ways to block 1 or 2 days after that big event for recovery time, it is so needed. Yesterday was Thursday, and all three of us basically were couch potatoes. Like that was our goal. That's what we did. It was awesome. It was needed. And then today my son unfortunately had a cavity dentist appointment that he had to go to. And my daughter had her occupational therapy appointment, and she had to go to it to kind of like download her test experience and talk to her occupational therapist about it without having to wait a whole nother week. So we kept that appointment. But other than that, like today, again, it's just couch potato day. And then this weekend is Mother's Day, and that is like a whole topic upon itself. I'm so thirsty. I love this water bottle. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it for just a second. Insert ad. Not really. Like, and sometimes I like to tell y'all about products that I absolutely love because that's just something I'm really passionate about. I bought this for my kids when they were really little, and I loved it so much that I bought it for myself. It's from the brand called Squeezy. This is not a paid sponsorship. I bought this and I've used, this thing is probably 8 years old, this water bottle. What I like about it is it's a silicone water bottle, so like you can squeeze it, and it's got just this like kind of hole, like so if I turn it upside down it would pour. But I like it because when you're drinking, you can squeeze, and it's a sensory yes for me. There's a lot of times where I have to pick the right water bottle for how my brain wants to drink water that day. Like sometimes I want a straw, sometimes I just want a cup, and sometimes this like squeezy, like it like pushes the water in, but I'm sipping it at the same time. I don't know. I love it. And then inside, there's like these little red pieces that can go in here that would block up the hole, and it's got like just a smaller hole, I guess. I'd have to go grab one, but that you can put, if you do, like when my kids were really little, I'd put it for a liquid, and then that way you can turn it upside down and it doesn't spill. But then you can take that red piece out and you can fill these up with like applesauce or smoothies and stuff like that. I pretty much use it as a water bottle. I absolutely love it. I will link it below in my Amazon shop. Yes. I wasn't planning on putting this in the video, but it's a freaking hot day today, and I'm not drinking my tea. I'm drinking ice water. Well, cold water. I drink water really fast when I have this thing. Anyway, so a whole entire video I could do on Mother's Day, but I'm going to just kind of keep it short. I've talked in the past on different videos about how gift giving is so incredibly stressful for me. And I have such mixed feelings about Mother's Day because, one, I am a mom, so I would like to be celebrated. But on the other hand, I hate the concept of like basically commercialized holidays. So I don't really like Mother's Day. But then I'm like, oh, but I do want to be celebrated. So it's like this like mix of emotions in my head. And then I spend so much of the time before Mother's Day, like, who cares what I want? I'm so busy trying to like make sure that my mom and my mother-in-law and they're taken care of. A couple of years ago, I finally was like, I am done buying gifts for your mother. I told my husband, I'm like, I'm done. Like, you are in charge of buying gifts for your mom now. I don't know how that happened. Apparently, it's actually pretty common in marriages for the wife to take over all the gift giving. And we fell into that pattern. And one day I was like, oh, no. This does not work for me. I literally hate giving gifts. Like, that's not true. I like giving people gifts that are, what's the word? Just spontaneous. Like, if I see something that my sister likes and there's no holiday associated with it, but I see this thing and I'm like, oh my gosh, my sister would love that. And then I give it to her. I like giving gifts that way. But giving gifts, obligatory. That's what I was thinking. Obligatory gifts around birthdays, Christmas, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, all of those I could literally do without. Like, to me, it's like exchanging, here, I'm going to give you a $25 gift card. You give me a $25 gift card. Like, what is the absolute freaking point? I don't know. I hate it. So I would completely opt out. The problem is nobody understands that. And if you opt out and be like, hey, I love you, Mom, but I'm not buying you a gift because I think Mother's Day sucks. People don't get that. Even mothers, they just don't get it. So I ended up finding a really cute gift for my mom, and I'm going to take her out to lunch. And then for me, see, I use up all of my energy on making sure that my mom is happy and has a gift and is acknowledged for all her motherhood, which I am. My mom did amazing raising me. That I have no energy left for me. I have zero. Like, I literally have zero cares. Like, whatever. And one thing that I do, and I've done forever, is I don't make my kids participate in obligatory gifts for me. I do make sure that they kind of think about it for other people, but I've never required them to get gifts for people, actually, now that I think about it. And I honestly believe that. Like, some years they will draw me a picture or something like that, and my kids are both artists, and I love it. But other years they won't. And the thing is, it's like there's no passive aggressiveness about it. It's like, it's genuine. It's like, I don't want them to feel like they have to go out and buy me a present for a commercial holiday. But like, oh, that kitten right there and the bumblebee. My daughter bought me both those stuffed animals just randomly the last couple of months. She saw them. She thought I would love them. So she bought them for me. And that just is amazing. And then the drawings behind me are from my kids from, actually, those are pretty old. But they occasionally will draw me art. I was like trying to look where else I have it, and I like to take time to frame my kids' art, and I've done that ever since they were very, very little. Anyway, I guess that's where I'm going to end this kind of rambly update. Mostly, the whole kind of point of the video is that this last week was incredibly stressful. I feel like it was artificially stressful for a state test that I don't believe in, don't think should be required. I'm a homeschooler at heart, basically, but when I hit autistic burnout, we pretty much needed the support of the public education system. So I am grateful that it's an option, and I'm grateful that there's an online option, because my kids, they took 1 month in a brick and mortar public school building, and it was just not a good fit for them at all. But the online option has mostly been a good compromise. But state testing is not where it's at, because not all kids take tests, and they do not show how much somebody knows. And the thing is like, that doesn't even get into the kids who, have learning disabilities and different things like that. It's just like, mind-boggling, but that's it. I don't know. That's all I can say. I could go in circles and circles, and there's so many things that I want to say, but like, I've been told that it's in my children's best interest to not publicly talk about online right now. And I'm going to leave it at that, because my children's best interest and all of that jazz. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next video, I'll talk to you later. Bye.